Have you ever heard of a country where no human being lived for thousands of years? A nation that later became one of the most important centers of the Atlantic trade and the transatlantic slave trade. A small island country that endured centuries of colonial rule, devastating famines, and mass migration, yet emerged as one of Africa's most stable democracies. Today, we are exploring the remarkable history of Cape Verde, officially known as Cabo Verde. How did a group of uninhabited volcanic islands become a symbol of resilience, freedom, and democracy? Let's uncover its incredible journey. Hello everyone, and welcome to Heroes and History. On this channel, we bring you fascinating stories of nations, civilizations, historical events, and legendary figures from around the world. If you're passionate about history, make sure to watch this video until the end, because the story of Cape Verde is a powerful lesson in struggle, survival, and transformation. Around 6 centuries ago, the islands of Cape Verde were completely uninhabited. There were no villages, no cities, and no permanent human settlements. Located in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, these volcanic islands were home only to seabirds and marine life. During the 15th century, Europe entered the age of exploration. Portugal and Spain competed to discover new sea routes that could connect Europe with Africa and Asia. It was during this period, around 1456 to 1460, that Portuguese explorers reached these islands. Within a few years, Portugal established settlements, making Cape Verde the first permanent European tropical colony. Initially, the island served as a stopping point for ships sailing across the Atlantic. However, Portugal soon realized their extraordinary strategic importance. Positioned between Africa, Europe, and the Americas, Cape Verde became an ideal maritime hub. This marked a new chapter that would place these small islands at the center of world history. During the 16th and 17th centuries, the transatlantic slave trade expanded rapidly. Millions of African men, women, and children were captured and forced into slavery. Many were brought through Cape Verde before being transported to the Americas and the Caribbean. Although Cape Verde was not the largest source of enslaved people, it became one of the most important transit centers in this inhumane trade. The old forts, churches, and ports that still stand today silently remind the world of this painful chapter in human history. While Portugal earned enormous wealth from this trade, life for the people living on the islands was far from easy. The land was dry, rainfall was scarce, and farming was extremely difficult. Throughout the 18th and 19th centuries, Cape Verde suffered repeated droughts that led to devastating famines. Thousands of people died from hunger, and entire communities were abandoned. These harsh conditions forced many Cape Verdeans to leave their homeland in search of a better life overseas. That is one reason why today the Cape Verdean diaspora around the world is almost as large as the country's own population. Although the slave trade eventually came to an end, Portuguese colonial rule continued. The local population had little political power, and economic development remained limited. During the 20th century, as independence movements spread across Africa, the desire for freedom also grew in Cape Verde. At this point in history, one extraordinary individual changed the future of the nation. His name was Amílcar Cabral, one of Africa's greatest freedom fighters. Born in 1924, Cabral was an agricultural engineer, but he dedicated his life to the struggle for independence. He became a founding leader of the African Party for the Independence of Guinea and Cape Verde, better known as PAIGC. Cabral believed that true independence could not be achieved by weapons alone. He emphasized education, culture, political awareness, and national unity. He organized farmers, inspired ordinary people, and encouraged them to believe that freedom was their right. His speeches and writings remain among the most influential works in the history of African liberation movements. Tragically, Amílcar Cabral was assassinated in 1973, just 2 years before Cape Verde achieved independence. Yet his death did not stop the movement he had inspired. His followers continued the struggle, and on 5 July 1975, Cape Verde finally gained its independence from Portugal. That date remains one of the country's proudest national celebrations. The early years of independence were not easy. Cape Verde had very few natural resources, almost no industry, and a fragile economy. However, they made a crucial decision. Instead of choosing conflict or dictatorship, they chose education, democracy, and long-term development as the foundation of the new nation. Initially, there was a plan to unite Cape Verde and Guinea-Bissau into one country because both independence movements had been led by the same political organization. However, political changes in Guinea-Bissau prevented this union from becoming a reality, and the two nations followed separate paths. One of the most important turning points came in the early 1990s when Cape Verde embraced a multi-party democratic system. While many African countries struggled with coups, civil wars, and political instability, Cape Verde strengthened its democratic institutions through peaceful elections and respect for the rule of law. Today, it is widely recognized as one of Africa's most stable and successful democracies. Unlike many nations, Cape Verde never built a vast empire or fought major international wars. Instead, its historical importance came from its strategic location in the Atlantic Ocean. It served as a bridge connecting Africa, Europe, and the Americas, making it an essential part of global maritime history. History is not only about politics and wars, it is also about culture. Over centuries, African and Portuguese traditions blended to create a unique Cape Verdean identity. This cultural fusion can still be seen in the country's language, music, food, and traditions. One of the greatest ambassadors of Cape Verdean culture was the legendary singer Cesaria Evora. Known worldwide as the Barefoot Diva, she often performed without shoes as a symbol of humility and solidarity with ordinary people. Through her soulful music, she expressed themes of migration, longing, homesickness, and love for her homeland. Her songs introduced Cape Verde's rich cultural heritage to audiences across the globe. When we compare Cape Verde's past with its present, the transformation is truly remarkable. Once a center of the Atlantic slave trade, it is now recognized as a symbol of peace and democracy. Once devastated by famine and poverty, it has built a growing economy based on tourism, services, and international cooperation. Once its people left their homeland out of desperation, today millions of Cape Verdeans living abroad actively contribute to the country's development through investment and remittances. Once ruled by a colonial power, Cape Verde now stands as an independent nation playing an active role in the United Nations, the African Union, and other international organizations. Of course, challenges still remain. Climate change, water scarcity, and limited natural resources continue to test the country's resilience. Yet Cape Verde has repeatedly shown that determination, good governance, and national unity can overcome even the greatest obstacles. The history of Cape Verde teaches us that a nation's greatness is not measured by its size, military power, or natural wealth. Instead, it is measured by the courage of its people, the strength of their vision, and their determination to build a better future. From deserted volcanic islands to one of Africa's most respected democracies, Cape Verde's journey proves that history is not shaped only by geography, it is shaped by human resilience. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the remarkable history of Cape Verde. If you enjoyed this documentary and learned something new today, don't forget to share it with your friends. Let us know in the comments which country or historical event you would like us to explore next. I'm your host, and you've been watching Heroes and History. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again in the next chapter of history.